Hi, this is Doug Whedon with thewalledgarden.net. You know, there's a big difference between tangible and intangible inheritance. Let's talk about that for a few minutes. Tangible inheritance is the kind of thing that, one person will pass down to another generation in the form of things like resources and commodities and cash and things like that. It might be the idea of investments, it could be property, it could be a business. A lot of times it's just cash that's divvied up among the children, that kind of thing. So that's tangible. Tangible inheritance, where something is passed down within the family structure to other people. Excuse me. It's usually, tangible inheritance is usually the most important thing in a non-Christian family. A lot of attention is given to estate planning. A lot of attention is given to the idea of managing the taxes of that sort of thing. And a lot of times there's a lot of squabbling done over that. So tangible inheritance is this idea that I want to help the generations behind me to become successful and secure. You see, and so it becomes a non-Christian goal, and it becomes people who are simply religious as well. It becomes a focus of their attention is on tangible resources and tangible inheritance. And so it kind of takes the lion's share of people's focus when it comes to passing things down from one generation to another. Tangible resources are finite resources, you see. On the other side of the coin is the idea of intangible resources. And for the Christian family, this is the most important thing. This is the thing that has lasting value. This is the thing that is really makes up our wealth. It has to do with values. It has to do with character. It has to do with the practices and habits of an ethical and moral lifestyle, and the processing of our life with God. All of this is intangible. It's an influence that we have on our children. It's an influence that we have not just on our children, but for generations. It says, that God deals nicely, deals kindly with people who love him for 1,000 generations. There's this influence that just goes on and on and on. And so we can be part of that ripple effect and helping that to continue, or we can be an obstacle to that. And we're an obstacle to the passing on of intangible inheritance when we focus all our attention on the tangible. But those even if you've grown up in a family where that was the focus, you can stop that cycle and you can begin a new cycle of focus, a new concentration on something else. Well, our concentration as the children are growing, and intangible inheritance is actually given by the day. It's not, you don't wait till you're dead, There's this idea where we're just continually encouraging the children along a certain line. We're helping them develop in their understanding. We need them immersed in the scriptures. We need them to understand the stories, and all those kind of things. But that inheritance doesn't stop there. What we're really encouraging them to do is to engage him in an honest and open fashion. This idea that a child has a sensitivity towards him that will eventually go away, and we need to, as they say, make hay while the sun shines. It's not like you have to force feed anybody, but you definitely have to understand that this isn't going to happen by osmosis. It's going to have to be encouraged. It's going to have to be nurtured. It's going to have to be weeded, so to speak. And so all of this intangible inheritance is a constant encouragement for them to cast their cares upon Him, for them to engage Him with their questions, with them to go to Him for their feelings of insecurity, their confusions, their attitudes that aren't lining up. And it's not for us just to tell them about God. It's up to us to help them engage God, and then to be ready to answer questions and to be honest and transparent so that they can see your life and they can watch how you do that. You see, if I enter into my life and I do have lots of problems. I mean, we all came from a pagan situation, and we enter into a repentant life with pretty chronic and consistent problems that just occur over and over and over again, and it just kind of wears you down. But a lot of those kind of things are consistent even in our genetics as we pass it down to our children. Our children will have the same problems. And so it's up to us to confront those problems with God and to help Him to ask Him to help us understand what's driving these things, how it can be changed, and relying on Him to make those changes. As we pass on those tools to our children, that's an intangible inheritance as well, because they will have the same problems we do. If we refuse, you see, to confront our own issues, we've just, condemned them to a life of the same kind of frustration. They can still stop the cycle in their own life between them and God, but it is no longer an inheritance at that point. If we actually confront these things and pass on the tools to help them face the problems that we have faced, then that's an inheritance. That's an intangible inheritance, and it's very, very valuable. So, we can talk to them about God. We can introduce them to, the stories and immerse them in the scriptures and teach them how to study. But what we need to do is encourage them to engage Him first and foremost. That is the most important thing that can happen, because from a young age, they have the tools to respond to Him. So when a family looks at this idea of tangible inheritance or intangible inheritance, you'll see that for the religious and for, the non-Christian family, they're going to focus their attention on tangible inheritance. But for the repentant, the Christian family are going to focus their attention on the intangible inheritance. And don't be surprised, when the culture comes along and says, really, Doug, what you're talking about is conditioning your children, and you need to just allow them to develop and be, blossom and grow on their own and develop their own thing. That's really a lame reaction, because from a Christian point of view, they're pagan, and if I just let them go, they're going to continue to be pagan, and that's a guarantee. But what we need to understand is that all of us are molded and influenced by the environment in which we grow up in. Even the academics, even, those who are, attacking the Christian faith, they have grown up and are molded in an environment too. And so I'm just asking us as a people who have come to repentance to take advantage of the time that we have with our children and pass on an inheritance that will be beneficial to them, that will grow and develop character in them. Because in the end, ultimately, God is our intangible inheritance. And in 10,000 years, it's not going to be, that inheritance is not going to be gone, but it'll be stronger than what we have today. Well, I encourage you, step out of the world system, come up for air, and take a breath.